like if you are a human character or a dog and you get all the way through to the end of one of my books with nobody strangling you or beating your head in with a shovel, and you are alive, and you, at the end of my book, you land in the breath. What kind of a monster would I have to be to go back? Like, I just want them to stay in that breath. Not all of them even get the breath. If you're one of the characters who lands in the breath where I am, you know, it doesn't end on everybody's breath. It ends on somebody's breath. And I just feel like I don't want to, like, you know, because I can't write a sequel where it's like they walk the dog and make a nice chicken dinner. Like, that is a god-awful book. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a god-awful book. So I don't write sequels. Twice now I have written linked books. Gods in Alabama and Backseat Saints are linked. You never find out anything that happens more to Arlene and Burr. Like, their story is over. Arlene and Burr are where they are. Like, in my head, Arlene and Burr, everything wonderful is happening to them right now. Nothing bad ever happened to either one of those people again in their whole lives. They just kind of skipped joyously along. No one ever lost a job. No one ever got a cold. They're fine. Like, I don't want to mess with that. But there was a small character in Gods who wanted her own book. And so I gave her her own book without intruding. Arlene and Burr appear in it briefly, but you don't learn. It's not a sequel. Same with someone else's love story. William's horrifying, mentally ill, superb best friend, Paula Voss. She needed her own book. And you do, because it is sequential, you do find out a little bit about William a year after the book closes, but just a little bit, and nothing that made me feel bad. Like, I removed William from the city for a good reason, and I tell you what it is, because I just didn't want to do anything to him. And so Paula, she's an incarnation of the goddess Kali. She doesn't know it, but the start of the book is, I was born blue. If my mother hadn't pushed me out quick as a cat, I would have been born dead and even bluer. Her cord was wrapped around my neck. And that's a metaphor for that relationship. And her mother names her Kali Jai, but her mother's in juvie when Paula's born, so the grandmother takes her home and names her Paula Jane. She's the one who gets to fill out the paperwork, Kali Jai, Paula Jane. And her daughter comes home and everybody's calling the kid Paula, and her mom's like, well, it's almost just like what you said, but in American. So that's the book. That's really nice. Anybody else?
What's the name of that book?
The name of the book is The Opposite of Everyone. I wanted it to have a word like nobody or no one to go with someone, so they're like backseat saints and gods go together, and everyone and someone go together. And she is the opposite of everyone. At one point, a character in the book, she says, why do you even like me? He's a good friend of hers, and he says, well, because everybody I know tells all these pretty stories to make themselves look good while they're doing just disgusting things, and you're the opposite of that. Yes?
I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your experience as an actress and a voice actress and narrating your book.
Oh, well, I started out in theater as a playwright, and I'm not good at it. It's terrible. I really wanted to be a playwright, and I'm not good at it. If I was the greatest genius in the world, I would be the opposite of Beckett. He is the greatest genius in the world, and he desperately wanted to be a novelist. And if you ever read any of his novels, he's not that good at it. But Lord, he's the best playwright that ever lived. I'm certainly not to that degree. He's just one of my superheroes. But I have the same problem, and I wanted to be a playwright. Can't write plays. I can write a pretty good novel, excuse me, but I'm just going to own that. I like my books. It'd be so sad if I'd wasted 10 years of my life writing them and I didn't. Here's the thing that's weird and tragic. You can actually make more money as an actor than a playwright, which is like none or almost none. So I worked as a voice actor, and I did black box theater. Voice acting, you can actually, make. I did like documentaries for PBS where the nun would be like, Spanish, 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 and I would say, here in Nicaragua, her voice would go down, and you would hear mine coming over. In Nicaragua, we believe that, in my responsible normal, I sound like an American who's not from Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. You know, sort of get rid of the twang when you're doing the PBS documentary. But yeah, and then I moved into novel writing because I'm better at it. And it's weird. I'm actually better at acting than playwriting. And playwriting, you have to be willing to abdicate control. Like, you have to write something that leaves room for a director, and then a cast, and then an audience. No, I don't want to leave any room at all. I'm willing to leave room for a reader. So it's like 3 degrees of release, and I have 1 degree of release. If you're not willing to have any degrees of release, you never publish. You just write, and it's just for you, and it's delightful. And there's some things I'll never publish because I'm not willing to give up that degree of control for a reader to interpret it. It's just for me, and that's fine. That's a good thing. My mother's a journaler. She has asked me, please, when I die, swear to me you'll burn these and never let anyone read them. I'm like, Mama, I got your back, because I understand that. But, so yeah, so I started with you. Yes.
So another note of control would be the movie industry and books. Yeah.
Don't care.
Okay.
I love the idea, but I would have to abdicate. If I can't make the whole movie and do it, you know, and I can't, and I'm not good at it, then I would have to stay away from it. I'm not a collaborative person. I can see it in my head and I have to do this thing. But I'm also, that means I'm really easy. Like, if Michael Caine came to me and was like, I really want to buy the rights to someone else's love story, and I want to play Shandy as a 60-year-old drag queen, I'd be like, Michael, write me a check. I'd love that.
That is my question about have you been approached about making movies for TV or otherwise?
Yeah, a TV series, movie. I mean, every single one of my books has been optioned at least once. The oldest book has been optioned 5 times, and then like that. But I mean, it means nothing. I mean, it means I have a film agent, and when I'm in LA, I get a really expensive lunch, so that's fun. Options also mean that, like, for no reason at all, you suddenly get money. And it's not a lot of money. It's like, oh, my film got optioned, let's fence the yard so the dogs, let's make a dog run. Or one time I got a Sidney Pollack, before he died, optioned one of my books, and then we finished the basement. That was a good option. But it's money for nothing. Like, you've done nothing. You wrote a book, you're not even promoting it or whatever, and your film agent sells it. But then, so the option gives them a year to try and put together a package that somebody will pick up, and then sometimes they pick the option up for a second year, and then you're like, ooh, let's do a weekend in Saratoga, you know, whatever. It's just a little bit of money for them to try and get a package together, and if they get the package together, you get more money, and the day it starts filming, you get a lot of money, and then when the movie comes out, you get a lot of money, and then if you're powerful, like Stephen King, you get back-end points, and if you're me, you just shut up and say, thank you!